Okay, now let's talk about gross pay. What is gross pay? Okay, gross pay um, is what the total compensation you are receiving from your employer, right? So if you're getting a salary, then they give you a bonus, then they give you a fuel allowance or 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 or, or air tickets uh, in form of cash, or they give you school fees for your children in form of cash. All that, all that, all that you are getting from your employer, they lump it to give you gross pay. So that's what it means. It simply means the total of what you are getting from your employer. So here we're saying the total amount earned by an employee before any deductions, before they deduct taxes. That's your gross pay. Okay. It includes basic pay plus allowances such as housing, transportation, airtime, and bonuses. What is basic pay? Okay. Basic pay is the base salary agreed between the employer and the employee before any additions or deductions. Right. It is usually a fixed monthly or hourly rate. Let's say, let's say I've signed a contract. Okay, I've signed a contract um, as an employee for, let's say, for Google. They'll be paying me $10,000 a month. So that $10,000 is my base pay. That's what we have agreed in the contract. Then they go on to say, um, we'll be giving you transport allowance for you to commute from wherever you'll be staying to this workplace. So that transport allowance will also form part of the what? The gross pay. In addition to that, they say, oh, there is COVID. We'll be giving you cash to buy data. Okay. So that cash will also be what? Will also be included in the gross pay. Right. So this is different from where you pay the the service provider the amount, and then they give the employee that service, or they provide the employee that service. That is different, because if you pay a third party, or if the employer pays a third party, let's say a transport company, for you, for that transport company to be carrying you, or a taxi company to be carrying you, or to work, that one is not will not form part of your gross pay. The reason that one will fall under a fringe benefit, right? But if that cash, that transport cash, that airtime cash, or that housing cash is being paid directly to the employee, that one will form part of the gross pay. Do I make myself clear? Right? So we're saying these are the allowances. These are additional payments made to employees to cover specific expenses, not paid to third parties. If they pay to, let's say, if they pay direct to your landlord for your housing, that will not fall under the gross pay. It will fall under another topic called fringe benefit. and there'll be fringe benefit tax, which will be paid by the employer. But here we're talking of the employer getting cash and paying the employee directly. Okay, so on allowances, common examples include housing, transport allowance, and medical allowance, right? So this allowance or these allowances are different from those we call subsistence allowances, right? Or daily subsistence allowances. For instance, if I travel from Malawi, I go to South Africa, right? I have to meet the cost of accommodation. I have to meet the cost of my meals. The employer gives me cash as an advance for me to meet that cost. So that one does not fall under these allowances, right? So the exception is where we're talking of daily subsistence allowances. Okay. For instance, if you are paying interns and then you give them um, allowances for transportation, daily allowances for transportation, those ones will not fall under allowances in the gross pay calculation. All right. So that's what it means when I say gross pay. So the gross pay is the sum of all the earnings the employee gets from the employer. So let's go to an example. Let me exit this presentation. Okay, let me exit and let's go to this one. Right. So here we have three employees: Alice Panda, Brian Chirwa, and Clara Mpande. So the question is calculate their gross pay. Okay, calculate their gross pay. Okay, the gross pay of these employees. Okay, we have a company which has these three employees. Okay, Alice, Brian, and Clara. We need to know their gross pay. So what is the gross pay? Gross pay is the sum of all the earnings the employee gets from the employer. So look at this. We have basic pay. I've explained what basic pay means. We have housing allowance. Yes, this qualifies. Of transport allowance. Yes, this qualifies. Of overtime with that rate. Yes, this qualifies. Then we have loan repayment. Loan repayment. This does not qualify. Okay. So the gross pay for Alice Panda will be basic plus housing plus transport plus overtime. But for overtime, we need to multiply 10 by 3,500. So it will be open brackets 10 times 3,500 close brackets. All right. So that's the gross pay for Alice Banda. Okay. Let's do another one for Blind Chirwa. So for Blind Chirwa, it will be the same. It will be gross pay plus housing allowance plus transport allowance plus the overtime. Okay. This one worked 5 hours. Okay. So it will be 5 times 5,000 close brackets enter. So Brian Chilwa earned 605,000. Right. Let's go for Clara Mpande. So Clara Mpande, it will be gross pay plus housing allowance plus transport allowance plus open brackets overtime 15 times 30,000 close brackets, enter. Right. So this is what these people, these three people earned. So the total to the employee, or rather to the employer, for that particular month in terms of gross pay was 1,370,000 kwacha. Right. So that's what it means when we say gross pay. How much are we getting? How much is the employee getting? The total amount the employee is getting. So it includes the allowances, um, for instance, housing, transportation, airtime, plus the basic pay, the pay you agree with your employer at the start of your agreement, and if there's any overtime. So how do we calculate overtime pay? It will be the hourly rate, your hourly rate, times the total number of hours worked over time. So this is how simple it is. So this is what I prepared under gross pay. Thank you very much. And next, I'll talk about deductions. Thank you.